Sorry, not that fault. Not my fault that time. And remember one thing too, as I read and I go on, chemo brain is a very real thing. Very real. One thing I got chemoed so hard. As I read through the report I have right here, it says heavy heresy, M squared. Well, we know what M squared is. The doctor says you can't chemo a person any harder than you've been chemoed. So, and chemo brain is very real. So, bear with me. I was an athlete when I was young. A very good wrestler. I've always known when you are overly ambitious, competition and athletics are busy, you simply let them over leverage themselves. They will always pin themselves. What is that great old line? Give them enough rope, they will hang themselves. I think it was Will Rogers. I dated his great-granddaughter for a while. Wow. I'll be getting back to her in a future chapter. Wow, that girl's something else. So I let him go on. How is the fun going? I said. Oh, great. We are all doing very well. What is your annualized 5-year mark? Well over 40%. Wow, I said, and walked away. 40% annualized in a dead market is possible. Between 2000 and 2005, it did not happen in the hedge fund industry of any size. Of course, there will always be individuals who get lucky in the derivatives market and have huge returns, but not in a large fund in a sideways market, which we were in for some time now. I told myself only in Utah could I have a very conservative, well-managed fund and only raise a few thousand, and this crook got all the investors I was trying to get. He got them all, but I knew he was a practicing Mormon, and I was somewhat of a lost boy. I left the church at a very young age. I knew that he was the biggest scam angle in Utah and always had been. He would actually not even sign a contract with these people. He would take them to the temple and they would get on their knees and he would sell them. His scam was, we will make a contract with a bigger, higher power than our courts. God, that's no bullshit. And he scammed little old ladies, everybody in this community, to the tune of 140 million. And this is not that big of a place. I had come to reality about my fund that was never going to get off the ground within days of the lack of fundraising. I would tell everyone I knew he was a fraud and explained how I knew he was a fraud. He called himself a hedge fund and had no clue what a derivative was. That is what hedge funds do, hedge, using the derivative market. As time played out, the Mormon Madoff, I have named him, in prison now, but white-collar crime in Utah is not only legal, it is encouraged. I bet right now he is out shortly. He has only been in for 2 years, 140 million for two, not a bad return. I knew he would be exposed. I told the dean of the university. I told every attorney I could think of. I knew only my friend, Randy Richards, the attorney, who is a Mormon, by the way. He's the only one that would believe me. He believed me. He would scream it too. No one would listen. Everyone else said, no, he is a man of God and a pillar of the community. I screamed to the media. I screamed to the community. I screamed to every investor I met. They were in denial and drooling neo-ignorant bliss. I have a very close friend who I worked for me for years, whose much older brother and second wife were scammed out of $1.6 million inherited dollars by this scum. Third generation wealth made by the blood of their grandfather's back, the same business my grandfather made his dime in, sand and gravel. A brutal trade, I know. I have been in that for over 30 years. I have the scars all over my body to prove it, including a broken back and severed tongue. They lost their house and moved in with a 35-year-old stepson, who I know well, a great person. He told me a few months ago he was having horrible dreams and could not sleep and was having to see a psychiatrist. I said, why? What is the matter? He looked at me in amazement and said, Jerry did not tell you? Jerry was my Giacomo, my hot tender for years and years and years. His uncle, my close friend. I said, no, I have not seen Jerry for a while. I heard he's in jail for dope again. He said, oh yeah, that is right. I forgot he's locked up. My father hung himself 3 months ago, and I found him, and I cannot get the image out of my head. So let this be known. This book is no satire. It is in the reality of the truth. The legal, encouraged, white-collar crime scamming country we have lived in 10 years now has very real consequences. In the aggregate, in the subconscious of the popular opinion masses, but in the truly non-benevolent reality. right in our face, in our fucking faces. None of this is funny or even past history. It is the reality and the blood of the Word. This book is not in satire. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. This is not in jest. This is not in satire. The blowjob that changed the world. It is not. It is real. It is reality. Every word that I spoke is not some funny hypothesis, satire by me. It is the truth. It is the reality that people do not want to talk about. It is the Freudian reality of what happened. Make no mistake, there has been millions and millions of lives directly taken, disfigured, lost, maimed, and altered in the United States and Iraq and Afghanistan in the said context of the second biggest Freudian lie in the past 100 years. Remember, this is not new. 1930 Germany, 1860s United States. White-collar crime becomes our economy. Chapter 4.